What's going on, guys? Welcome to J Powell Music. Be sure to like and subscribe here on the channel and click the notification bell so you know when the episodes are going to be coming out. Be sure to check out my links above my head as well, such as the song whips if you want to check out my music personally, my personal Instagram tag, and also the Twitch that I started not too long ago, twitch.tv/J Powell Music. I have this segment on there where I discuss music that came out on a Friday and I talk about it on a Saturday morning. So feel free to check that out. Usually it's about 15-30 minutes, and I try to do it every Saturday. So be sure to follow me on Twitch. Definitely would appreciate that. Kind of creating this experiment versus doing 6-hour streams or whatever it is, 3 to 6 hour streams, just to do these small segmented streams and see how many followers I can get. So a little experiment I'm starting. But today I want to talk about Disheveled Cuss's recent album that was just released not too long ago, titled Into the Couch. And this is from the mastermind of Nick Reinhardt. Shout out to Nick Reinhardt. I actually interviewed him on my 440 Guitar Podcast channel. And the interview is actually on YouTube as well. So if you go to the 440 Guitar Podcast channel, subscribe on there as well if you can, and then check out the interview. Really cool interview and really dope guy. We talked about Alice the Caramelos, but we talked about Disheveled Cuss as well. And that album, it was the first album of the Disheveled Cuss at that time when we did it. So obviously it was a self-titled album, but now we're back. And we're back, and now we're talking about this guy, Into the Couch. So I did listen to this whole album. I had a lot of anxiety last night for some reason, and I went ahead and decided to listen to some music, and I found out that this album released because I was on my 440 Guitar Podcast Instagram. I tapped into a live stream that Nick Reinhardt was doing, and usually he doesn't do very many IG lives, so it was cool that he was doing one. So I tapped in, and then in the comments people were like, oh, like, I love the recent album, by the way. And I was like, fuck, it's out. So I went ahead and had to check that out. So I want to talk about it a little bit. It's a really solid project. If you guys are familiar with the first Disheveled Cuss, you're kind of getting that type of style, but this is a little more slowed down. It's a little more vibe-ish, it's a little more smooth, that similar instrumentation still. But it's still that kind of it's like a 90s. It reminds me like a slower 90s rock, but it's not like the popular rock. It's kind of like the underground rock. It's kind of hard to describe. If someone can describe the style of the album or just the music, leave a comment. I'm curious to see what your thoughts are, but I just say 90s because in the 90s, I remember listening to certain music that had slight signatures similar to this, but this is a really solid project that he came out with. I really like the lyrics. Once again, the instrumentation is really great. I like that Creep a Little Closer was the first song on the project. I think it's a great starter to the album. As far as for some of my favorites, definitely Creep a Little Closer. But there's two that definitely caught my ears was Silver Atomic and Still Running. Really good project, really good songs there. And specifically when it comes to Still Running, some interesting instrumentation choices that were used on the project. So definitely a much different sound or different instruments that you normally wouldn't hear from maybe a Nick Reinhardt project. And obviously there's no limits to this guy because this guy's a genius, and when it comes to just putting music together, I at least that's my personal opinion. But another solid album, so this one definitely I highly recommend if you're a fan of Nick Reinhardt. If you're a fan of Disheveled Cuss from the first album, I highly recommend this. So this is definitely going to be tapped into my list here of albums you should definitely check out in 2022. I actually did a part 1 and part 2 of that specific topic of favorite albums of 2022. This is definitely on the list. Okay, definitely on the list. So check out those 2 videos that I just released, but definitely check out Disheveled Cuss, the album Into the Couch, out now. It's on streaming. It's also on Bandcamp. I do plan on buying this on Bandcamp as well, and I highly recommend that you do that as also. So anyway, that's going to wrap it up here. I am J Powell, J Powell Music. Again, if you haven't subscribed, feel free to do so. Would appreciate it. Click the notification bell and I'll see you next video.